everybody. Welcome back to Comedy Pinata. I just want to get into it because we have quite the panel today. Obviously, to my left, one of my favorites. Started in New York City, working with this guy. Look up to him. I love him. Roastmaster General Jeff Ross, thank you for putting down the acai bowl for 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, I rarely stop eating. But for you, I will, because you don't want people to hear me eating. But I could eat during a podcast, right?
Yeah, you can. During this one, fuck yeah.
This is like a vacation day.
Yeah.
I was like, where could I go on my day off? How about an empty comedy club in Nashville? What a treat.
All right. Well, we also have from the Barstool Sports podcast, Bussin with the Boys, Mr. Will Compton. Thank you very much for being here.
Appreciate you having me. Don't forget, I'm also a current NFL free agent, so any GMs, coaches watch the show.
That's right.
I'm still applying for jobs.
Yeah, they're all watching this.
They're all watching this for sure, yeah. Al Davis in heaven is beaming thoughts.
No doubt.
Out to Oakland.
What position? What position?
Gruden's canceled as well.
That's right,
so
yeah.
He's looking down as well. Or up.
That's exciting.
Linebacker.
Imagine if this podcast gets him on a team. It'd be pretty fucking great.
If this one does and mine doesn't, my podcast
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The comedy. All right, and of course, one of my favorites, Nashville's own. And what I love about this gentleman was not with the record label, did it the hard way, through osmosis, through a groundswell of fans, just did the rhyming, going off to New York City, as we were talking. Jelly Roll, thank you, Jelly, for being here tonight.
Dude, burn baby. I'm here also. If there are any NFL coaches looking at this, we're a combo deal. I'm trying to show my athletic side. I spent most of my life being an athlete trapped in an obese alcoholic's body, and I'm trying to flip that around. So Will Compton and I'll be his strong safety.
And when you go tour, the offer still stands. I think it's a good combo, jelly roll, egg roll, anytime you're down.
Listen, man, I had Josh Wolf come out and do the rhyming with me. So he came out and did some, he introduced the opening act and did 10 minutes in the front. You know how big of a comedy fan I am. I would love to integrate it. I think it'd be the coolest thing in the world. I harass Chris Porter about it all the time, too.
Oh, he's one of the best.
Yeah, I'm like, we should do it, dude.
One of the tallest men in
Wow,
comedy.
you're really down with the comics.
Listen, man,
he's down with everybody.
Yeah,
he's everywhere.
I've never found a career I related to more as a musician than I did in comedy.
Wow.
And
why is that?
People I admire. Well, it's one, I admire the fact that y'all work your shit out right there.
Yep.
That's insane to me.
I came here last night to this comedy club for New Material Mondays.
Yeah.
And went on at the end and tried to make up jokes.
That's how I found out you were here.
It was cool. It was really
insane.
fun.
Like when I'm watching Tommy Bunn stand in front of 18,000 people the other night and clearly going over to his phone, what's the next part of this bit? You know what I'm saying? I'm just
right.
He's working this out in front of 18,000. It'd be like, Jelly Roll, go up there and write a song right now. Dance, monkey, dance. I'd fuck it up. I'd go over there right now. I'd sing bad. I wouldn't know what to play. I'd fuck the guitar. I'd be butchering. So it's I watch y'all do that, and it's just something I've always admired. And it's always the thing of as a musician, I think I told you, Bern, I don't listen to my music. I listen to the 70s.
Right.
Because I never want to put out a song that somebody's like, that sounds like the new Adele song. I wouldn't fucking know. I didn't listen to the new fucking Adele song.
Right,
I was listening to fucking Rogan. I was listening to fucking Your Mom's House on a podcast or something instead.
The new Adele song's great, by the way.
It is fire. I think it's
Will works
Easy on
out to
Me
it all the
something.
time.
Yeah, he's missing
Three more.
Listen, Adele.
And you and her have the
bitch don't
same
miss.
trainer, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I had her old trainer, and that's what fucked me. I went to the guy she had first that apparently got her plump. You know what I'm saying? So it just fucked my whole shit up.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for being here. I think I can speak on behalf of every comic in the world. We want to do what you do. And because we can't do what you do, we became comics. So you can go fuck yourself, okay?
Hey, I'm a huge fan of the comedy world. Jeff, I'm a huge fan of Jeff.
Thank you.
He used to be on my previous channel when you had Skinamax back in the day in middle school.
That's right.
Parent dad, somebody'd walk in, you'd hit previous channel right away. Jeff's on roasting somebody on Comedy Central.
Love it.
But yeah, dude, big fan.
Thank you.
Steve,
One of the greats. And
it
I
out.
got to tell you, I think what most people don't realize is that stand-up comedy is, yes, it's an art form. Roasting is a completely different muscle. And how you excel at that, I remember back in the day being at the Cellar, and you went to the Museum of Television and Radio, because this is before we had the internet even.
Yeah.
You would go and watch old videotape or old tape reels of all the roasts, and you were doing your homework before then. And it's like, if you think roasting, you could just go up and roast people. It's like, you got to do the work, and you got a degree in it, my friend. It's fucking unbelievable what you do.
When I first heard about the roasts, there was obviously no YouTube, no Google. You couldn't, so I had to go to the museum to watch it, and it was like a lost art, like fencing or
Yeah.
Latin, like a dead language almost. So, yeah, and you couldn't try out the jokes. No one really knew what I was even talking about. Young people didn't know what the roasts were.
Right.
So it was, I sort of uncovered this lost treasure.
Well, one of my favorite lost treasures is you roasting on the Shaq roast.
Oh, yeah.
It was, I mean,
Unreal.
that's one of the most crazy.
The Emmett
even
Smith
back then, I was
roast,
like, oh
but
my
Shaq
God.
was, yeah. What do you remember? But be careful.
Let's get to the clip one.
I was gonna say when he said you were in town, I was like, oh, Jeff hasn't
this
gotten
day and age,
canceled
let's
yet.
not
Yeah,
get into
right.
that. But here we go. Oh, okay.
Oh, great.
Rory Scoville.
Great.
This is one of the newer names on the scene.
How long's the
Obviously
clip?
been-
Can I eat my acai bowl while we
Oh,
watch
fuck
this?
yeah. One of the newer names on the scene. I think he's amongst the comedy community. We all know who he is. He's a regular on Conan. He really is unorthodox, talented guy. Any thoughts on Rory?
He's super funny.
Super nice, too.
And I love him because he's always different. He could do characters, he could do a monologue, and he did he played William Shakespeare on my Netflix historical roast show.
Right, yeah.
And he just walked in and just brought stuff to it that we couldn't have written, and
Yeah.
little funny asides, and he's brilliant. I'm psyched to watch this clip.
I remember he did a set on Conan, and he walked through the audience on the armrests in the back of the chairs as he was doing the set. It's like, this is fucking crazy.
Wow.
All right, here we go. Rory Scoville.
Can you imagine the confidence you have to live in a small town and leave a Yelp review? Somebody knocks on your door that night. Hey, Mike, did you write this? Did you write this? Jesus Christ, dude. I told you I'm doing the best I can with the last of my dad's money. The other day, I started crying. I don't cry in front of people, Mike. You said the surface was shit. Your goddamn sister waited on you. I had to fire her tonight, Mike. I had to fire my wife tonight. Couldn't have like a small town Batman. You're just walking home one night, you're like, oh shit, there goes Batman. Doesn't he kind of run like Jason? Jason! Did you see that? Jason! 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 Are you Batman? If you're Batman, no one fucking gives a shit. If you're Batman, all right? Okay, you're fucking walking to Jason's house. Get a van or something, dude. Jesus. Trying to figure out what to get out of here on. Prayer.
That was great. Any thoughts from the gentleman that have never, obviously you're probably not familiar with him, maybe you are, I don't know, any thoughts on, what are your thoughts after seeing that clip?
I have no clue who Rory is, but I thought that was hilarious. Being somebody from a small town, I think that shit is just hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like one of your buddies sitting in the living room just telling you about, the day at work. And
Right.
Your sister's wife, whatever he just said, but that shit is hilarious.
Yeah, the way he unpacked that was great.
He could be that small town Batman would be a hilarious movie.
Oh, yeah.
He could do
And
it.
once you yell Jason's name and you just get a little twitch, but he's got to stay in character. He's like, "That's fucking you. I ain't a Jason."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even when the fifth time he said Jason, he kind of shrugged his shoulders, like physically he's saying, we know it's you. And it was just like, even the way he did that, and I'm going to end on a prayer, that's probably a throwaway line he uses on the road or whatever, but man, it's a fucking great line just when you think you've heard it all. That was another one.
So funny.
How about you, Jelly?
I always am just amazed. Like, where the fuck do you come up with that? Right?
Yeah.
Like, to me, songwriting is, I think of everything y'all do in the aspect of, like, when I write a good song.
Yeah.
And I'm like, mine was kind of obvious where I wrote it from, right? I look at that and go, where the fuck were you at in your life at that moment, Rory, when you were like, be hilarious to talk about bad Yelp reviews in a small town? Imagine you're in this shit bucket that has one restaurant and the cousin's working and like just working that whole shit out.
Yeah.
To me is like just fucking insane because I pride myself on being a fairly funny individual.
Yeah, I can
Until
attest to
I'm
that.
around some fucking funny individuals.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh no, I'm not funny like that. I'm funny like ha ha. He's funny like two totally different things. It's just fucking insane.
That's what makes it. That's what made the Yelp part funny though, because I feel like we've all been in like those small towns where we're eating at a restaurant. And maybe we're scrolling on Yelp to see some photos, and we're like thinking in our mind subconsciously, like, yo, what if people here left Yelp reviews and had a Yelp profile like on Facebook or some shit, and you know exactly who it is. And he talks about like going up and like, hey, that's your sister. That's my wife. I had to fire her tonight. I just think
because he sets it up. The whole thing's about proximity, right? And then you're going to see this person, and how affecting is it? Well, he had to fire his own sister. That's his wife. It's like those are all just great twists and turns.
Yeah,
Super funny guy.
What do you give it 1 to 10?
Ooh, I'm gonna let Will do that.
No. I was just saying, I'm glad you get to go first.
Golly. Jesus,
Because
man.
you're setting the bar for the rest of the episode now. So just
I
remember
can't
that,
do
okay?
it, man.
I can't rate another comedian.
Yeah.
I can.
There we go. What do you want to unpack, Steve?
What do they win?
They win the glory and bragging rights of saying I potentially won this week's Comedy Pinata. It's huge, Jeff. The ripple effect, it does a lot for you.
What are we comparing him to? Richard Pryor's first
No, you're comparing
special? Like
the bit itself.
Based on what?
The bit itself. You're
What-
educated. You've done this for a long time.
What's the criteria?
Well, the criteria is what you just saw.
But I
based
mean,
off
is it
everything you know.
Based on writing, performance, wardrobe.
I would go.
Wardrobe, I give him a 2.
He does look like a night shift manager at Barnes & Nobles, yes. I would give that bit an 8 to an 8.5. That's a solid B. I think it's great. I think he's great. I love his delivery. I love the fact that he's resting solely on the material. He's not acting it out. It's the sign of a
He
great
acted
material.
it out.
A little bit,
Jason,
yeah,
Jason.
but he's not like Sebastian Maniscalco acting it out, you
Right,
know?
right.
He's just so relying on him. And I like his cadence. Rory's always been somebody that I appreciate his cadence. So I personally give it an 8. So, Jelly, what do you think?
Man, this is weird for me, man. I try not to give artists ratings because I don't want to be rated myself.
Right.
But I think he's like, to me, it was an 8 or a 9. I thought it was great. I love that he caught me with a laugh
8
out
or
the
9.
gate.
Hang on. That's a big.
Whoa.
to me, that's
I'm
a big
allowed to
swing.
dance a goddamn fence
That's
here.
10, that's like-
I'm not going to let the middle linebacker tell me what I can judge a comedy.
It's like, hey,
We're not
80 or
watching
90,
fucking football clips here. Do we got a fucking football clip we can pull up? I want to watch somebody get drilled in the middle of the field. Then we'll do an 8.5.
8.5? That's
Yeah,
what I
we'll
was
do an
saying.
8.5.
I was resting at 8.5. That's
Yeah,
what I would say.
I think I love that he caught me with the laugh out the gate.
Yeah.
Right? And I love like both forms of that. I love when somebody suckers me into a story and I'm waiting for the laugh.
Yep.
And then I don't expect it when it does come. But I really love it when somebody just pops right out.
Yeah,
You're
the
like, oh,
setup
this is great.
instantly gets you. The setup gets a laugh. Sometimes setups don't get a laugh.
Yeah,
you know,
I
but the setup got a
I
laugh.
don't want to throw nothing out there, but watching Sunday's show, Rogan had a bit where he started with what I don't know enough about it intricately, but it felt like it was the punchline.
Right.
Once I listened to the bit, I was like, oh, this is fucking genius. Like,
Right.
he circled me right back here. That was fucking phenomenal. We'll talk about it when the camera's off, but you probably know which bit I'm talking about. And I was just like, I'm watching it blown away when it came back. I'm like, that was still fucking hilarious, and I knew where it was going.
Right.
You know what I
I
mean?
missed Rogan. I was having a smoke with Chappelle.
Oh, God.
I
only
missed the
thing I
show
would've
because I was
missed
eating
Rogan for,
chicken
too.
fingers because I didn't know the fucking show was going on at home out of a toaster oven. Will, what do you say?
Hearing you say 8, it made me feel good because in my head I was thinking 7.8. I didn't want to go first because I'm thinking, hey, I'm around some comics. You guys are bringing up all these old bits. What are we
Yeah.
comparing to?
Hey, hold on. The fact he said 7.8 is one of those tell us you're on Barstool without telling us you're on Barstool. It was the pizza review
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
But I was thinking 8 because I'm sitting there watching, and we don't know what we're getting into. Like I'm like, okay, we're watching comedy bits. Like, I hope
Yeah.
it's funny because I'm about to laugh or force laugh in front of these guys. But no, I thought it was hilarious. So I'm gonna say 7.8 because I feel like that's a nice safety
nice.
net right there.
Ross, you could go not available if you want.
No, I mean, if the greatest bit ever is a 10, I mean, I can't. How can I? I mean, I'll give him a 10.
10?
I
Okay.
love Rory.
I love him too.
Comedy's hard, and he killed.
He did kill it.
So now you're comparing everybody that comes to Rory.
That's fine.
Here we go. Oh, this is one of my favorites. Jessica Kirson.
Awesome.
Jessica Kirson is a seller regular. She destroys rooms. I was in Just for Laughs in Montreal, and we were doing the Ethnic Show. It's this big comedy festival, probably the biggest comedy festival in the world, for sure. And it takes place once a year in Montreal. So the Ethnic Show, it takes place in this probably like maybe 400 or 500 seater. And we're all in the basement waiting to do our sets, but that's where you all hang and drink and stuff. And Jess closed out the show, and I said, of course, yeah, she should. And I heard the floor moving. I thought there was a fucking fire. And I run upstairs like, what the fuck's going on? They were dying laughing that hard. They were kicking the floor, clapping, stomping. I was like, holy shit. And there was 2 more weeks of that, knowing, thank God I don't have to fucking follow it, you know?
Wow.
She is a crusher. What do you think of Jess?
She's one of my favorites. Anytime she asks me to do something with her, I always say yes.
Yeah.
She does prank phone calls with Rachel Feinstein.
Another one.
Another one of my all-time faves. And Jessica is one of those people, like, once she sets up what she's doing, it's like peeling the onion. Buddy Hackett used to talk about peeling the onion. Jessica will find an unlimited amount of punchlines until you're just like you said, stomping on the floor.
So many throwaway lines too. She's not only doing her set, she's talking to herself while she's doing her set, and she's, even if she's killing, she's shitting on herself, which is
she does this thing where she stops and puts her head down and has a private moment with herself.
Yeah. She's like, I fucking hate my
Quick,
hair.
Educate my ignorance. You've used the word throwaway line twice.
I've used what?
The word throwaway line twice.
Yeah, just like a toss-away line. It's not
That's
like
Coke with fentanyl.
Oh, all right. It's either really good or really bad, right?
That is, I mean, that's that's Ross
best.
right there. There's, like, Ross will come up with things that I would have to write. And one of my favorite, this is like another element. Brian Doyle Murray, who Bill Murray's brother, he was on SNL after he did Weekend Update. I mean, Noah's Arcade, a storied career. Wrote Caddyshack. Wow. And he was on, I had a sitcom called Sullivan's Son. He was on it. We'd go to his house, and he's got all these animals and this wonderful wife, Tina, and we're drinking one night. And we go over to have a nice dinner, a few other castmates, and Tina leaves the room, and Brian busts out a really nice whiskey, and he pours us all a shot. And Tina comes back in, and as we're just ready to toast, Tina goes, Brian, what did you give up for Lent? Without missing a beat, he goes, religion! And we all did a shot, and I was like, fuck. It's like, there's times like a line like that, a line like Brian Doyle Murray, I just think, man, that's another league. He's in another league. So let's watch Jessica Kirson here.
Let me tell you guys something. I know this is going to sound weird, but I never understood how my grandfather stayed hard. Just hear me out. Because Viagra wasn't around then, okay? And he could not get a word in. He was controlled for years. He would walk around to, somebody help me. Somebody rescue me from this hell. I'm in prison. Please. And my grandmother was very aggressive. Like, she would just go to a funeral and be like, sorry for your loss. You know what I mean? It was a lot. So I feel like she would just make it hard for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, she would just bend. Let me act it out, because I know a lot of you want to see it. She would just bend over a little bit and, you know, and just talk the whole time. Like, Herman, I'm not bending over anymore. Find the hole. I can't stand your penis. Oh, God, are you almost done? Oh, you never provided for the children, never once. We never had what we needed. Oh, look, chicken's on sale at the market. I can get 2 for 1 chickens. I didn't even realize it. I can't even feel you. Are you in my ass? She would have never, ever, ever done anal, my grandmother, trust me. It would have been too much for her, you know? I can just see her. Don't put that thing in me! I've had the run since last Tuesday! What do you want me to do, shit all over the house? Wait until I'm constipated and loosen it up! We ran out of prune juice! Not everyone drinks prune juice, so that was... You didn't think enough before you just said that. It's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. You're doing great, you really are. You know, oatmeal is healthy unless you add 6 cups of brown sugar. Then it becomes pie. You had a miniature fucking pie for breakfast. and told 2 people you had oatmeal. You're a liar.
Great shot.
All right. Well, now we know who's next. But that was Jessica Kirson. That's one of my favorite things she does, is when she turns around and talks to herself, her inner monologue. It fucking, every time I see it, I just bowl over and cry. She's roasting herself, essentially.
And shout out to that director who caught the side angle of it so you could see her face.
That's right.
Which added a lot to how funny she is.
Technical, too. Look at him.
Went
He's
to film
technical.
school. Went to film
He
school.
didn't just do a short film called Karaoke Nights years ago, guys. He's grown a lot since then. Okay. Jelly, Will, what do you guys think?
I think it's Will's turn, right?
Will, let's go with you, buddy.
I liked her. She's very animated. She's definitely like when you're talking about peel the onion back. I feel like she's one of those friends, or like, you know, if you're a younger kid, a mom, like you just have to get to know, and then you realize how funny they are as time goes on. Yeah. Because they're just like that at all times. Like she has the facial expressions and everything else. Whereas Rory, he's standing there kind of like telling you stories. It kind of seems like a buddy sitting there recapping a night.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Which is weird because he does do characters, but in that particular clip, he was more just sort of doing a traditional stand-up.
He was himself.
Yeah.
He was purely
was
himself.
nice.
But I love Jessica because she is so animated. She is so invested. She's so energetic. She's sweaty usually after her sets at the Cellar or Underground.
She's wearing leather pants.
She's wearing black leather pants for an hour taping, which is ballsy. What about you, Jelly? What do you think?
First of all, when I realized she was fixing to act out her grandmother getting fucked, I was like, this bitch is crazy. This is awesome. I don't know where this is going to go. And then, like you said, the onion, I never heard that term, but it just kept getting better.
Yeah.
Like it just kept getting fucking like, oh no, she's taking it all the way fucking there. This is happening. And then when she turned around, you had kind of told us about that,
right?
But I still didn't get it. Because first of all, to me, that's like a super bold move anyways. Like to turn your back to a crowd.
Right. Like Prince.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
that is like bold. Like as a musician, I've trained myself to walk sideways or backwards. You know what I'm saying? Never just completely turn the back to the crowd. Unless I'm saying something I don't want the crowd to hear, to the DJ that's like, they're not feeling it, cut it. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm never so for that to be a part of her thing, I was like, that's dope. And then it was like Tourette's, just randomness. She was just like, she was pep talking herself. I was like, oh, I get it. And then she started talking about oatmeal. I was like, no, she's funny.
I'll tell you, she's much like Ross. She's so reflexively funny. I remember at the Cellar. This is one of my favorite lines I've ever heard her say. Some guy was like, "You're hot," and she's like, "Oh, honey, I love you. You're a guy, but I'm a lesbian." So she's like, "The last time I gagged on anything was a sleeve of cookie dough." I was like, "Oh my god, I'd never heard her say that before," and I think she just out of the jump came off with that. So to make this easy on you guys, I would give her. I'm being biased because I'm judging her as well as the bit. The bit I probably would give like a 7.5, but Jess I always give a 10. So I'm gonna meet in the middle and give it like a 8.8, 8.9, somewhere in there. Probably like a 9.
So you're adding your bias.
I'm adding my bias for sure because I love her. She's one of my favorites to watch.
I'm giving her a 10.
Fuck yeah.
What
Why
am I
not?
supposed to do? She's
Yeah.
amazing.
She's one of the best.
I can't give her less than Rory.
That's right. Yeah.
Would you go back and change Rory now?
Yes, Rory, I give him a 3.5. Now that I've seen
shit on
another
him now?
clip, let's see what we're doing.
How about you, Will?
I'm gonna say, what I give? I gave a 7.8. I would say a 7.1 due to the fact that I was laughing. I noticed myself laughing more with Rory.
Got it.
And she's somebody like I would have to sit there the full hour because when she started off talking about getting her grandpa hard, like it's like she just hits you in the face right away.
Right. Yeah.
Before she starts like delivering the rest. But I'll go 7.1.
Jelly?
I'm 8.5 again.
Yeah. Very nice.
And I would give them all a 10. Listen, it's hard for me to judge somebody that can do something I would piss myself to do.
Right.
Right? Like I would.
Have you ever tried it? Have you ever done like a few jokes during a show or anything?
I
like
have.
That?
I've come up here and riffed with Steve and
Josh.
But I've always
it.
done it with the comfort of having real comedian friends next to me.
Right.
I've been secretly working on my 5 minutes forever.
Crush it, buddy.
And I'm afraid to do it, honestly. So it's like it's hard to judge them. It's also like, you know.
You do the hardest thing in the world, I think, is taking something extremely vulnerable and deeply personal, especially so much of your music is based off of real life experiences, and to take that and to have, again, 24 30,000 people with lighters and cell phone lights. I think that's the most difficult thing, because comedy is one emotion. We're trying to stoke joy or laughter. Or it's really, you run a gauntlet of emotions in your music. That's more difficult than anything.
Yeah, but the catch is I am I've wrote these songs. They're easy to sing.
Right.
Some nights I get drunk and I'm a little off key. Fuck it, I fuck up. It is what it is. But it's like, dude, I literally watched Jeff Ross bring 20 people on stage the other night.
Oh God,
and
it's
talk
my favorite
about
thing to see.
Down to what the fuck they were wearing.
Yeah.
And it's like I came up in hip hop, so freestyling was our form of roasting, and I was pretty well at it in my younger years.
Yeah.
Right.
But let me ask you this before we go to that right quick, and I have to, Jeff. Is it something that's you work so much that it's always there? And have you ever had a time where you didn't do it and realized you were rusty coming back from it?
It's a great question. I did get rusty during the pandemic, but my pal Craig Robinson, Craig Robinson,
Mm-hmm.
he's a comedian and he's also a musician. He got me out during the pandemic. I was lonely, I was home, it was cold, and we went to meet Dom Herrera for his birthday for dinner. And afterwards, Craig said, "Follow me to this spot." And we went to I just drove to North Hollywood with him. He parks in some dark parking lot. He walks over. There's a tent with 40 people. His winter coats, hats, heaters, and he starts doing stand-up for 40 people.
God bless him.
And I'm literally walk behind my car to pee, and he introduces me. And I just went up there. I went up there, and I did half an hour with him.
Oh shit! That was your first set
And
through the pandemic.
And it was just like kind of broke through the nerves a little bit, and I was like, couldn't believe it, high on life, couldn't believe we just killed, riffing, no material, and I just wanted to talk to the crowd and this and that, but everybody was really careful back then, about 6 feet, and people start leaving. Craig just walks away. He goes, "Follow me," and he walks across the street to another outside open mic where there's 11 people. Oh my God. And we did another half hour.
No way, really?
And after that, we just did a whole bunch all through New Year's outside at these different pop-up spots. And now here we are a year later, and because of that, I'm in the zone. Right. I have an act, and you saw me at the arena with Chappelle and Rogan and
crushed.
And
absolutely.
The reason I can do that is because Craig got me out of the house during the pandemic to build an act. I just did 8 shows in London with Chappelle. I hosted his Netflix tapings for The Closer.
Oh, man.
We're about to do 10 arenas, Madison Square Garden. Just got announced, I think, yesterday. So you can get really rusty.
Right.
And that speed roast, I used to not be as good at it.
Right.
And now I had no stock lines. You see, it's all right in front of me.
I know, because as a freestyle battler, when I heard you say certain things that were specific to the person, I was like, no, he's really right there, right now. Like,
oh yeah.
And it was quick. It was scary quick. When he brought 20 people on stage, I was like, oh, it's gonna be 20 minutes.
Yeah. No, I had to do it quick.
It was
and normally I line them up, but they do this show in the arenas in the round. Yeah. So I made it. I just let everybody stand around like a cocktail party. I knew the cameras could catch her from every angle.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, there was one girl there and a woman in a short skirt, and I made a joke about the front row being able to see her balls. And I said, "Wait, hold on. Are you here protesting Chappelle's special?"
It was so fucking funny. I wanted to say he said that, but I didn't want to bite his laugh. I wanted to tell you some of the shit he said was so funny. And the funniest thing he said, is this going to come out in like the next day?
No.
Okay, cool. Bit, yeah. So they ended it with the same girl, though. He was like, "By the way, I'm in the Hutton at room 1550." And everybody in fucking my suite was like, you know how we are. We're like, I bet that cocksucker's staying at the Hutton. I was like, I bet it might not be 1550, but my money says.
Right hotel, wrong room.
Yeah.
We bet that too, I swear, dude. That was what we all talked about.
It was the right hotel, but there was Donnell Rawlings' room number.
Yeah. He said it too fast for it to be a fake hotel. You know what I'm saying?
So
I was like, oh no.
You gotta. I was swinging on all cylinders because arena comedy, it's just so different. Zanies last night I did. It's an intimate, but especially I go first, so people are like, just getting their first beer.
The only cool thing about it was the real comedy fans, like I guess I consider myself one, was like, holy fuck, Jeff Ross is starting this show.
And Jeff Ross
At
is
that
opening
moment,
your show.
you know it's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
If Jeff Ross is the first face I'm fucking seeing, oh, this is fixing to be a shit show for sure. And then Donnell came out and killed. Then he comes out and does the speed roast, the turnbuckle thing, fucking crazy. Then he walks off. Tommy Buns comes out, sticks his dick in it. His last joke, maybe top 20 bits I've ever seen.
Segura.
Wow.
But literally, and I can recite my favorite bits.
Did you know Segura was going to be on the show?
No clue. I didn't know you were going to be on the show.
Right.
I literally, the way it was set up in the arena, I was like, if Joe does an hour and Chappelle does an hour, the arena, I know, I do music, so I'm like, I ain't got a curfew. It's probably just be them two. They might have a local.
Sure.
Honestly, I thought I'd see like you or Josh Wolf. I thought like one of the local homies, but
Nope.
not local, but I meant like, somebody who lives in town, or I thought Nate, but I know Nate's on tour.
Sure.
So I thought it'd be somebody like that. So when I seen y'all, I was like, oh no, this is great.
Me, Segura, Donnell, Chappelle, and Rogan, and they posted a picture, and I reposted with the caption, "Bald Lives Matter." The five of us. 5 middle-aged bald guys, but it was, it still felt kind of diverse and super fun.
Well, there is something to be getting up on stage all the time, and I'm sure as a free agent, right? If you're not training every day, you got to be in peak, right? You got to keep the train moving. I assume,
all
even
the time.
For guys like you.
Yeah, I mean, still working out all the time. It does get harder as you get later in the season, but yeah, you have to stay on top of it like all year round.
Like
because it's on you to stay in shape.
If you don't train for a
when
week,
you're on a team.
Do you feel it if you don't train for a week or something? Like,
100%.
I'll just take a week off, or you can't do that, right?
Yeah, especially cardio-wise, because you got to keep your running up and everything else. Like, we can lift. Like, if you take a week off from lifting, you usually have your strength. The residual you get from working out is always still there. But as far as, like, cardio, you can lose that fairly quickly.
Like, what is the longest you would go?
I did 9 minutes on the elliptical trainer today. 9 minutes.
Yeah.
I listened to one news story and got off and came here.
We did it. Yeah.
I want y'all to know.
Yeah.
I literally walked all the way here from my truck.
Thank you. Thank you. That is a true
Probably
sign.
my peak of cardio.
You can get that
day.
Bud Light beer cart thing that have one of
sure.
your lackeys roll you in on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for next. One of those fat people scooters you see at Walmart. You know what I'm saying? It's always some fat dude that just can't walk in it. I want to get me one.
Dog, if I see you around town on that thing, I'm pushing you over.
No, you don't be blinged out and shit. But all right, we got everybody's scores on that one, right? All right, here we go. Clip number 3.
Oh God, they're docking our scores.
Well, we all saw who this was. George Carlin. I mean, a legend, one of the best. Any thoughts initially on Carlin?
One of the highlights of my young career was at the Improv in New York at Hell's Kitchen, probably in the 90s. He was warming up for an HBO special.
Wow.
And I put in for spots that night. He went on 7:30 and 8:30 or something like that, 7:30 and 9. I closed the prom show at 3:50 a.m., but we were on the same lineup on the Improv. Like awesome. Literally 8 hours later I went on, but it was still on the same white piece of paper.
That's right,
I
man.
saw the name George
Did
Carlin.
you keep it?
Oh, yeah. I still
beauty.
have it. And it's in New York in a big box somewhere. But, yeah, George Carlin. A lot of people have been saying what would happen if he was around now. What would he be? Would he be able to be as provocative?
I think the American dream bit stands today.
Yeah.
Right? Like, is that what they called the bit? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The one where he kind of goes on this, how the system is, you know what I mean? It's like, I listen to that I think that's a top 10 bit. I think it stands the test of time of the climate of society right now.
I listen to that again.
Yeah. I think it stands the test of time. I mean, literally.
I'm going to go
I'll
back
probably
and
listen
revisit
to
it.
it. Well, I played it for everybody on the bus like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, beauty.
Yeah, well, that's all we do on the bus. We watch like comedy shit or listen to podcasts or play drinking games.
Well, I'll tell you, it's like I think to question one of the greatest comedic minds, could he do the matriculation and algorithms to find a way to make things relevant? Of course he could. I think he was always ahead of his time at times, but I always wish I had met him. I always heard about stories about him in Vegas when he was in his dark period in the early 2000s, when he would like lie on the floor and just kind of like walk the room. And I was always like, oh, I want to go see Carlin. And then I heard from people about those stories, and I always regretted the fact that I never at least went and bought a ticket to go see him.
I didn't know about that dark period. He would walk the room on purpose?
He would walk the room in Vegas. I guess
it
he
a
was
drugs
unhappy with the contract, and I guess he was in a not great place at the time in his
Did
life.
you say rock the room or
walk the room?
So what is talk to me?
People leave.
Yeah, he would just
wow.
purposely just like get selfish and not do your act, but maybe just do things you want to talk about and know you're going to divide the room and have people upset and leave. And, you know, I don't know, it was a bummer. But one of my greatest was seeing Rickles at the Frontier. That was the first show I ever saw in Vegas.
Wow,
was Rickles.
that's a good one.
And that's why I wear a suit on stage, because I saw Rickles. I was like, he's timeless, and I want to seem timeless like him. He's one of the great, one of the best. So let's watch George Carlin here.
Like to piss off any group that takes itself a little bit too seriously.
And it does not take a lot of imagination to piss off a feminist. All you gotta do is run into Now Headquarters or Ms. Magazine and say, hey, which one of you cute little cupcakes wants to come home and cook me a nice meal and give me a blowjob? Blowjob! Oh, that pisses them off. You want to piss off a feminist? Call her a cum catcher. That'll get her attention. Don't act disgusted. Don't act disgusted. Half of you are going to go home and go down on each other tonight, remember? If you're willing to swallow cum, let's not make believe something I said was disgusting, okay? All right. Let's not have a double standard here. One standard will do just fine. Now, speaking of blowjobs, do you know why they call it a blow job? So it'll sound like it has kind of a work ethic attached to it. Make you feel like you did something useful for the economy. As long as I'm being a complete pig up here, let me ask you guys a question. Let me ask one question of the men. Are you ever able to watch a woman eating a banana and not think about a blowjob? Huh?
Confession.
I can't do it. And I know why. I'm a sick, evil fuck. I know that. I accept that. But I can't do it. Eating a banana, eating a pickle, licking on an ice cream cone. I'm saying to myself, look at the tongue on her. Wow. So you women, be careful when you're standing out in front of that Haagen-Dazs. Because goddamn it, we're watching. And goddamn it, we're thinking.
Okay. George Carlin.
Amazing. I give that a 5. I mean, he's no Scoville Kirson. Give him a 5.
Yeah, 5. Yeah. Obviously,
I was offended. I don't like blowjobs and blowjob humor. I'm a feminist.
That's where you draw the line.
Yeah.
it's where it is. What about you fellas? What do you guys think?
I think he's a 10, and I think it's just because I know his bodies of work.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Carlin fan. Like I said, I believe it's, somebody could Google that and make sure I'm not butchering it, but I think it's the American Dream bit. It's still like, kind of like you had the biasm of the lady, Ms.
Sure.
Jessica. It's like exactly how I feel about anything I see with Carlin. Like, begs another question. I know y'all probably don't want to answer this, and you don't have to, but have y'all ever considered like what the Rushmore of comedy is?
What, the Rushmore?
Yeah.
The Mount Rushmore.
I think you'd have
comedy.
to go prior Carlin, Chappelle, and then question mark. Because there's 4.
Now, what do you think keeps Eddie off being the 4th? The lack of activity?
I think, look, some of that stuff has not aged well for sure.
Right.
But I think, the fact that he, much like Steve Martin, they hit a point where it's like Steve Martin was doing stadiums and was just like, I'm out, I'm done, I'm going to go make movies now. And I think that they're, as time passes, generations forget the impact that he had. I love Eddie Murphy. I'll go back and watch those, and of course I'll still think it's hilarious because I grew up watching it. I think if you showed a 20-year-old that stuff these days, they may be horrified with that stuff. But I still remember Eddie Murphy as SNL coming out 18 years old, fresh face, like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, like the delirious area.
I mean,
like,
my
I always
4th
think about
would be
the pussy out of my pocket bit. That was great.
I would be hard pressed to not think that question mark right now for me would be Chris Rock.
Right.
But I don't know. How about you, Ross?
Well, on the Eddie Murphy tip, that was my first live comedy experience. Seeing him
Oh,
at the
shit. You went and saw him live?
Capitol Theater in Passaic with my high school buddies. I was in
Holy
junior or
shit.
senior in high school. My one buddy who could drive drove us. And
Wow.
Eddie
Did you
Murphy.
get the bug that night? Was that the night the bug hit you?
No, never in a million years thought I could do that.
Wow.
He was a rock star in a red leather suit.
Yep.
With a band, the Busboys, opening for him. So
that's
it
right,
didn't even
yeah.
compute that he was even doing comedy. I looked at him like he was a rock star.
Right.
Yeah.
Steve Martin, same thing. Cheech and Chong, same thing. They played arenas. This was Blues Brothers. They were all. I didn't differentiate between Kiss and Steve Martin.
Right, yeah.
It just was all like, I'm gonna get that album.
Right.
It took many, many, many years later to figure out what was happening there.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have a Rushmore, though? A personal one?
You know, I think of it more not in stand-up. Sorry, Roastmore. I'm out Roastmore of roasters. That I can probably figure out. But as far as stand-ups, I always go back to my, two of my favorite. The people you mentioned are obviously up there, but then I put Rock and Attell right up there. Dave Attell and Chris
Attell,
Rock for
Jesus
me.
Christ.
are
My
two
next-
guys-
that was
for-
my next
I
question.
just can't not watch them.
Yeah.
I look at
I'll sit up there and anyone can go on, but if I hear Attell's on or Chris Rock's on, I have to go watch. It's like, I don't know what, it's a transformational experience every time I see Chris Rock with new material.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling the blues, Attell is the closest thing to Rodney Dangerfield to me. And
Yeah.
Rodney is probably, if I'm ever feeling the blues or feeling sad, I'll just go to YouTube, type in Rodney Dangerfield, and whatever comes up is like, hey, listen, it just wakes me up, makes me feel better.
Did you feel
So
Yeah.
Dave Attell to me,
Yeah.
right, from what I do for a living, is like the underground king, right? It's like MF Doom or NF or like Billy Strings, like
Yeah.
the jam band Billy Strings, like what they do. Not a jam band. He'd be disrespected by that. It's my boy, but like they're huge, but it's like they're not like, it's not like Grateful Dead, right? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Yeah.
but it's thing where everybody knows they're the best. Like it's like the underground thing of like NF will go sell. I mean, the kid crushes. Never been on a playlist.
Sure, yeah.
Never done a bunch of late night stuff. Never, like, he did it kind of my way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for me, it's like for Dave Attell, like even when I seen him doing bumping mics with Jeff, I told Jeff the one thing I had to tell Jeff Ross when I met him was, yo, that shit was crazy.
Thank you.
The best.
Like that shit was so good. But you talking about working a room and Roastmore? My dream tour.
Yeah.
If I could put together 3 comedians on one bill that I know would work a crowd, Steve Byrne, Jeff Ross, Andrew fucking Scholes. The
I
people
love
I've
crowd
seen
work.
personally that work
You're
a
a
crowd,
great crowd
and
worker.
can roast and really move a crowd, like,
I appreciate
dude,
that. It's very
Scholes
kind
is
of
the
you.
same way.
Yeah.
Scholes is fucking unbelievable at
He's
it.
great.
Yeah, for sure.
Phenomenal. It's something I worked really hard on the last, I'd say 10 years. I was like, one set, I'm just going to just do crowd work and put myself out on the wire. But Mal,
What do you think makes you good at it?
the fact that I just don't give a shit. I think the minute I realized, say whatever the fuck comes to your mind and find your way through it. It was like, oh, he's a black person. He's a black guy. And then just going off of that, there's like a shock value in just addressing somebody as black and then digging yourself. I'll purposely dig holes to go as deep as I can as like a challenge now to see, can I get myself out of this one? And I've gone to some places, I'm like, oh, how the fuck am I going to do this? And then you just slowly find a way. And now it's almost like, I think because of the crowd work, it's made the material a little more fearless, which has been a lot of fun.
Have you
But
ever not gotten out of a hole?
no, it hasn't happened yet, but I'm sure it's going to at some point. I'm sure there'll be something. But then you always have your arsenal of weapons. You got a bit I can go to. I got this crowd work piece I can do that I haven't done yet. So that particular moment in time might sit there, but I can get past it. But I want to talk to Mount Roastmore. I would obviously go Rickles.
That's what I'm curious
you.
about too.
This is
Thank you.
an offshoot of it, but I would say Foster Brooks, who I'm sure you're familiar with.
Very funny.
That guy, I have all the Dean Martin celebrity roasts, and Foster Brooks came out as a drunk and would roast. And when his Sammy Davis Jr., he kept calling him Slippy. It was so fucking funny. I'd have to put him up there, and
He played a drum.
yeah,
Right?
Slippy. He's just great. And then as soon as he was done, he went back to being his normal proper self and would walk over to the dais.
Right. See, and he would sometimes dress as a pilot.
Yeah.
He
A
would
drunk pilot.
a drunk pilot.
And I always
he'd work
thought,
that in.
I thought Bob Hope was great on those too, the few that he did. But,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Will, what do you think about Carlin? Sorry.
Hang on, I want to know his Mount Rushmore.
Oh, for roasting, well, I got to put Don Rickles at the top and Milton Berle side by side.
Uncle Milty?
Yeah, because we used to host the roasts, and he was very, very outlandish at the roasts, and taught me a lot about roasting. They only remember the home runs, he would tell me.
Wow.
And in other words, you don't have to do every joke you think of, just sort of narrow it down. Beyond that, Red Buttons comes to mind because even into his 80s, he always had new material. And he would kill at those Friars Club luncheons, and his bit was about the roast. He wouldn't just roast the person. His whole thing was about the day and roasting. They called them dinners back then, right? So, never got a dinner was his refrain. That was his, you might be a redneck.
Right.
And he always had fresh material, and he would take cards and he'd flip them, and he'd be like, Yasser Arafat, a man so nice he'd give you the shirt off his head. Never got a dinner. And then he would just go on to the next topical reference, he would go through all the people that couldn't be there or never got a dinner, never got roasted, and then he'd finally get to whoever they were, Frank Sinatra, whoever was the guest of honor. So Red was a lovely, lovely guy and really funny at the roast. Buddy Hackett was one of my best friends and super funny at the roast because he would weave in long, like his style was so different than his contemporaries. If Rickles was quick and sharpshooting and a machine gun, and Red Buttons had his kind of cadence, Buddy was much more freeform. He was in the moment. He would tell a story. When my first roast, I was getting relentlessly heckled by Milton Berle while I was up there, and I was a young guy in my first roast. And
had you known him? Had you been?
Oh no, I met him when he introduced me, and he gave me this terrible introduction, and it left me really to die because all the new guys had been dying that day. We were roasting Steven Seagal. Milton Berle's, I'm on it towards the end. No one knows who I am. Even I don't know who I am at this point. Like I'm wearing a suit with a borrowed shirt, and it was like we're roasting Steven Seagal in New York. It was like 1,500 people at the New York Hilton, and Milton Berle's like, our next comedian just came back from Vegas where he headlined a convention for lesbians with dildo rash. Jeffrey Ross. And, he has to look and read my name. Like, I didn't even meet him beforehand. And, he just relentlessly heckled me. And I'm finally kind of going at it with him. And, and then after about 3 or 4 exchanges, Buddy Hackett, who's 20 yards that way down the dais, because those Friars Club roasts would have 80 people up there. And, hey, Milton, let the kid work. Remember when you used to? And off mic, but booming, the whole room could hear it. And Milton ran down and kissed Buddy on the lips. Just this weird, hilarious moment between them. And then I started making all these crazy jokes about the two of them.
Oh, that's great.
And the next thing I knew, I was back at the Friars Club drinking with them and,
oh my God,
and smoking a cigar with Milton and getting advice from them. And, I wound up speaking at Buddy's funeral, and Milton was my good pal, and Jan Murray and Alan King and all these great roasters, all these great, they would be clean. Back then, the roasts were really novel because it's where Milton Berle would say words you couldn't say anywhere else.
Right.
Because they had these TV images, the Texaco Star Theater, and they were all so you'd hear them do these bawdy jokes that they would normally just do behind the scenes, behind in a steam room or a card room or over a chopped liver sandwich. Suddenly, and the press wouldn't report the jokes. And, and it was a different time. So yeah, man, it's really hard to choose. I certainly loved anytime Don Rickles did the roasting. I think he's the grand master, the black belt of busting balls.
Yeah.
The sultan of insulting.
Well, even I was in Vegas a month ago, and I got to see Rich Little. And his show is showing all the clips of him on those roasts doing Carson and everybody on the dais and impersonating everybody. And you just see somebody and you're like, man, that's probably the last of the old guard. I can't think of too few names that are still around with us.
It's interesting you bring up Johnny Carson. I forgot about this. When I really did research the roasts early on, a lot of people don't know this. Johnny Carson was a game show host in New York.
Right.
And a magician. You know, not going to take the world over with any of that, right? But he got on the roasts, and he started roasting these more made guys.
Oh, is that how he made his name?
And that's how he got hot.
Holy shit.
In the industry, not in the public, in the industry.
Right.
Because that was closed-door roasts back then. They weren't televised. They
Right.
weren't reported. They were stag luncheons.
Wow.
Guys-only kind of luncheons in New York. And he was so good at that. Essentially, it's a monologue. It's essentially what he went on to do for decades. But that's what, and if you go back and look up, I don't know if they're on YouTube or where you'd find this stuff, but Johnny Carson at the Friars Club roasts, you'd see where the magic started to spark.
Yeah, I've seen people try to go toe-to-toe with Carson at times, take little digs at him, and he just gives it right back.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Rickles stories, that's one of my favorite clips of him on Carson was, Sinatra told the story. I'm sure you probably know this, but Sinatra told the story of how he's eating dinner, and Don Rickles and him are great friends, and Don Rickles is on a date with a young lady, and Don walks over to Sinatra and goes, "Hey, Frankie, can you come over and say hi? It would really do me a solid." And Frank's like, "Of course." So Sinatra wraps up his dinner. He goes over and stops by Rickles' table. He goes, "Hey, Don, how you doing?" He goes, "Frank, can't you see I'm eating?"
All right, here's a good one.
Yeah.
So in the 80s, Atlantic City became like a gambling. They legalized gambling, and my dad was starting to make some money in his catering hall in North Jersey. He would drive down to Atlantic City a couple hours, and he would gamble. He liked to play blackjack, and he was good. And eventually, he built up some credit where, like Vegas, they would comp him for stuff, and he'd see Don in the steakhouse.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And, you know, my dad's with his girlfriend and Barbara, and Don's wife also named Barbara. And this is a legendary story in my family where that story you just told with Rickles and Sinatra had been everywhere. Like Don had told it on The Tonight Show and so on. So it was a popular story. So here's my dad, Ronnie Lifschultz from Union, New Jersey, walks up to Don Rickles, who he feels like he knows just by, you know, being in the same room with him a few times. And, you know, you see the same kind of regulars. And he says, "Hey, Mr. Rickles, you know, I'm here with my girlfriend, Barbara. And it would mean so much if you came over and just, you know, said hi and pretended like you know me, because I really like this woman." And lo and behold, you know, 20, 30 minutes later, Don's either leaving or going to the bathroom, and he walks by, "Ronnie, hey, is this the Barbara you've been telling me about?" And my dad drops his fork. He's like, "Can't you see I'm eating?" And for years, my dad would tell that story, you know, and he passed away when I was 19, and I kept remembering that story, and I went on years later, you know, to write on The Man Show. I remember telling it to Jimmy Kimmel and Adam Carolla and the writers and Daniel Kellison and all the guys over there, and they were all like, yeah, your dad made that up. That's bullshit. There's no way that really happened. Nobody would have the balls to do that. And then, years after that, I get a letter from Barbara going, "The funniest I ever laughed was when your dad got Don Rickles."
That's awesome.
Oh my
That's
God. Are you serious?
This woman came out of history to find me, to remind me of that story.
That's awesome.
And she's like, "I can't believe you're a comedian now. You got to hear this story about your dad and Don Rickles."
Oh my God.
So there you go, you know.
And you took the torch.
I did something.
Wow,
I don't know
buddy.
what I
That's
did.
fucking great. What a killer story.
Isn't that wild?
I mean, how
I did, and even to top it off one more time, I did mention it to Rickles once.
Yeah.
I said, could this ever have happened?
Yeah.
You know, you'd never remember Dom, but in the 80s, would you ever have, you know, and he looked at me, he's like, that's like, sounds like something I would have done. So it kind
awesome,
of makes
man.
sense, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure Don knew what he was walking into. He was playing into his own joke.
Of course, yeah.
Like when people roast me, you know, you got to let them have it.
What's the
that
best,
happened the other night.
Yeah.
What's
Some
the
guy
best
on
roast line somebody gave you?
The other night, the guy told him he looked like Bruce Willis died soft.
Some guy who this rarely happens, but a volunteer roasted me.
Fuck, dude.
This guy roasted me, and then it landed, and he did a victory lap around the stage. He ran around the stage.
The crowd went crazy?
The crowd went berserk, but he
course.
gave me enough time. And at first I was like, oh, God, this guy just crushed me.
Like, come on, I gotta think of something.
So I looked scared. I purposely looked really nervous and scared. And I'm like, shit, Flavor Flav's really excited. And he had the dreads and was running around. And
Oh, it was so
it wound
good.
up being like a great end to the speed roast at the Bridgestone.
Yeah, the Bridgestone.
Bridgestone, yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
Wow, dude. That's
a lot of
unbelievable.
fun.
Shit,
It was
dude.
fucking. I'm telling you, it's one of the best comedy shows ever.
Thank you.
Well, any thoughts on Carlin before we do our last one?
Yeah. I'll say an 8. I always appreciate like the world that I live in, like with the athletes and stuff. We go into like team meetings every year. We're on a team that's always uniformed. You're always buttoned up. You're always part of something that's outside of you as an individual.
Right.
So like you're always like critiquing anything in the media. You're always looking out for stuff in the media. So you're kind of like neutered, right? Even though we all have sense of humor, the coin term locker room talk and stuff. So I just always appreciate, like I'm always so fascinated getting to watch people like go like cross the line that would be in our world,
Yeah.
and talk recklessly like that, and know that like it's all okay, like, and it's all good, and people can laugh, and not everybody's got to be so tight all the time. So I like appreciate jokes like that because I think they're hilarious, because we all talk about that shit, but nobody wants to, you know, it's always comedians that kind of get to go beyond the line a little bit, and get in those waters, dig holes at, you know, your stand-up sessions, and kind of see and push people to the edge. So I give it an 8.
Beauty. I would agree. I think he's, and like that, the first 3 minutes of that still holds, like you could do that today. It's just,
It's hilarious.
I fucking love him.
And not as like philosophical as a lot of his stuff. This was more of a nightclubby joke. And it's
Yeah,
fun to
this was a
watch him.
blunt
Like I'm already
instrument,
thinking
yeah.
about my feminist friends on my bag, you know, what's up, cum catcher, and just like
Yeah.
jab them with something, just be, hey, it's,
But then to
it's just a
justify
joke.
it too.
If
you're willing
like,
to do
yeah.
it, don't get judgmental on me.
Right,
Let's not,
right.
let's not have the double
He
standard.
admits he's being a pig in that moment.
Oh, total pig, yeah. Well, we always end these shows with one of the comics.
This better be me.
Well, I'm
the
assuming
fucking
because
guest. I'm the guest.
assuming because we've done a few of these, and Jeff Ross. So we're gonna watch a
right,
Jeff
good.
Ross clip, and this is why I love Ross.
Thought it'd be you.
You
man.
could-
You think I'm going to sit here and watch a Steve Byrne clip with you and then rate it? You're out of your fucking mind.
Well, this is why I love
Activate
Jeff.
roast.
Is not only is he phenomenal. I mean, he's the ace in the hole when it comes to roasting, but you never just relied on it. You still, like, if I were you, especially as we get older, you could just go to clubs and just speed roast and roast people the whole time, crowd work, whatever. You still generate material. And the fact you do it with Attell and you guys have your own thing there, you've really diversified your act. But I love the fact that you're still generating incredible material and not relying on a crutch on the other,
I
things
think
you could.
I have a pretty solid act right now, and I think part of it was because during the pandemic, I couldn't bring people on stage. So I was
Right.
like, I want to be on stage, and this is a good opportunity to be more vulnerable or do a proper stand-up. And, I had 15-minute opening, and I think I did 10 of it on my dog.
I was just gonna say, I don't know what I can and can't say.
No, you're
Because you
fine.
don't want to step on nothing they're doing. But his bit about the dog.
Yeah.
I never heard the term onion. I'll never not use it now. I mean, it was an onion.
Peeling
Yeah.
the
It
onion.
just
Hey,
kept
the
going.
onion term
The
changed
further
his
it
life.
got into the story, I was just like, and I can't wait to tell you off camera, but he'll tell you.
No,
there's
it's
a
fine,
moment in
that's
it where
fine,
it's
it's
like
fine.
he talks about the dog. I don't want to say it. I know you say it's fine, but
It's
I love the
fine,
art
it's
too much.
fine.
He talks about the dog dying.
Right.
And like as the dog's getting injected, he's like, "Oh no, pull it out!" And it's like I pissed myself. It's like the moment I didn't see coming. There was
did
just
the dog,
so many.
by the way.
Yeah. But it was just so many moments
Thank
in the
you.
Onion about the dog story that was like.
Yeah.
And he took you on the journey with him too. Like he'd have moments where he's like, yeah, we've, like I was emotional. I was like, yeah, lost a dog and felt that way too.
Sure.
And then he'd just stick me in the ass right after that again. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It was just one of those bits.
Wow.
That you're just like, this is good. You know what I mean?
I love your assessment of all the stand-up, Jelly. This is nice to.
Well, thank you.
He's
And
a real
I'm
fan.
not qualified to give one, by the way.
it's
No,
good.
you are, buddy.
I also believe that if you have a good bit, you don't want to read your bit like in a newspaper. Like I noticed they reviewed, but when someone retells it, I never mind it because I always feel like that makes people want to see the comic themselves do it.
Yeah, because I could never do it the way he did.
Yeah,
But there were so
you're paying
many
tribute to it.
Yeah.
You're not really doing it.
Yeah, I mean it's
you know.
so many funny things. You know.
And then I had a bit that about the Queen and Prince Philip, basically fucking for the last time, and it's a huge giant act out where, halfway through I'm rolling around the stage,
Crushing.
on the floor, and when the bit started to come alive, I was like, I asked Chappelle, I was like, I got to do these England shows with you because I think this bit might really be like a career moment for me, like to do it in England. And I was right. Like
And,
I was
yeah.
nervous the first couple nights. I wasn't really all in it yet, but I was noticing they were clapping at certain points, and no one there. First of all, Americans don't really go over and imitate the Queen.
Sure.
And
yeah.
then white guys don't really talk about race, and the bit is all that.
Oh wow.
So to talk about like
ding ding ding.
really wanting to
That's awesome.
really wanting to work on material, it essentially became a 5-minute roast of the royal family without ever saying that. So
Right.
they all kind of feed into each other at a certain point,
God bless. What were your thoughts when I reached out and said, "Hey, you want to join me and Jeff Ross?" Instantly, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of Jeff Ross?
I said it already.
Yeah.
Watching him on TV back in the day when I'm in like middle school and high school.
Yeah.
And he had like you had the little fro going on.
Yeah, the Jew fro.
Yeah, and everybody would roast him for that because I didn't know. Like you would see some people, I can't even think on some of those roasts back then. But some people like who the celebrities are, like whether it be Shaq or you did Trump, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah, Trump. Like what celebrities are there roasting.
Sure.
And Jeff was always somebody that I didn't really know who he was because I'm not like this underground comic fan.
Yeah.
But like I just being a young kid, I was always laughing at Jeff. Like, who is this dude that's just like murdering everybody?
Yeah.
And you're a kid, so you're like, man, he's just crushing that celebrity. Like, I wonder what the celebrity's thinking right now.
Right.
But yeah, that's how I found Jeff
I love
Ross. So
that.
when
I
you said
love
that, I'm
that.
in the middle of working out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shoot, I got to move this meeting around and get back to going back because
Fuck
we
yeah.
got to make this happen.
Oh, that's
Love
great.
that. Thank
Well,
you.
let's watch a Jeff Ross clip. Here we
boy,
go.
I can't imagine what this is. Oh.
Hey.
How you doing, Franco? You look like Johnny Depp with lupus. Does Ryan Gosling ever call you, start laughing, and then hang up? Franco is half Italian and half asleep. How about a hand for James's grandma, 91 years old? Beautiful. Look at her. Wow. 127 hours is how long she has left.
She did die right after this.
Get him, Grandma. Get him. Oh, Franco. Franco comes from humble beginnings, right? Your first job was working at McDonald's. The last time anybody ever said about your work, I'm loving it. And because you're an academic, I treated this roast like a research project. I watched all your films, I read your poetry, I even have one of your paintings hanging in my fire pit. You know, Franco, personally, I don't care if you fuck guys or fuck girls. All I know is you fucked me out of $12 when I went to see that Wizard of Oz movie. The whole time I was in the theater, I was thinking, there's no place like home. But Franco, I'm really looking forward to you mumbling your rebuttal at the end of the show. Are you ready to bring it, Franco? Let's hope you... That's good. I'm psyched. Let's hope you bring some of that razor-sharp wit you brought to the Oscars. You were a worse host than the AIDS monkey.
Wow. Jeez.
Hey,
That's
the
a good
grandma attack, dude.
Oh, fuck.
I did. My favorite joke wasn't in that one, but wasn't in that clip. But it was to Jonah Hill. He had just done Django Unchained.
Yeah.
He had a small part in that movie, and I said something to the effect of, when Quentin Tarantino called up and said, or your agent called and said, Tarantino wants you to be in his spaghetti western. Jonah was like, you had me in spaghetti. They did. That's just not in the clip. You know, it's a 2-minute clip of a 10-minute set or something.
God.
Yeah.
Do you have one roast joke that you feel is your shiny object, like the one you're most proud of?
There's probably a couple.
Yeah, that is fucking the spaghetti western. Dude, that's so good. Jesus.
The one that comes to mind is Courtney Love at the Pam Anderson roast. She was unruly, and when people deserve it, they're fun. The jokes are funnier. Like she was interrupting everyone, and she was whacked out of her mind. She'd gone into the bathroom with Andy Dick and come out like all wild and pulling up her shirt and spreading her legs and upstaging everyone. And Kimmel had to like put her back in her seat because she was interrupting Sarah Silverman's set and Jimmy's set, and I went up and I said something like, how is it possible that Courtney Love looks worse than Kurt Cobain? And he'd only been dead a couple of years. And she, the reason I'm proud of it is because she did like a jaw drop, couldn't believe, and then was fine the rest of the night, behaved, and then checked herself into rehab the next day.
Oh my God.
So I feel like roasting is healing.
You got her sober.
Oh shit, dude.
Yeah.
She checked into rehab?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
I said, Courtney Love, you're like the girl
Bro,
next
could you
door.
imagine?
If you happen to live next door to a methadone clinic. So, you know, that one comes to mind.
You would always go back and forth too with like, who was the heavier set gal?
Lisa Lampanelli.
Yeah. Like with because Snoop had a roast, right? Did you do
No, he's been
roast?
in a bunch of them.
He's been in, okay. I remember you guys going back and forth.
Oh yeah.
A lot too back
No,
in the day.
she's amazing.
Yeah, Lamp retired.
She doesn't want to do the roast anymore.
God, she was fucking great on him.
Yeah.
Great on him.
Could crush people.
I mean,
her delivery was major.
Loud and East Coast and just great. But and her act, I mean, she would just I mean, you talk about somebody that could work a room. That gal, another one. I'd put her on par with Kirson, where you're like, holy shit, do I have to follow this? Thank God, she always had to close out the shows of the Cellars when I was doing it with. It was Artie hosting, and then Godfrey would go up, me, and then Lampanelli. For years, we'd be the 1 o'clock crew from 1 a.m. till 2 a.m. While everybody else was
And that was at the
getting
Cellar?
laid, meeting girls and stuff. I was sitting in the cellar waiting to go do my spot at 1:45. It was fucking awful. I missed 9/11 because of Chappelle.
What?
He came in on September 10th and did 2 hours, and the host left that night, and I said, I'll close it out for you. And I stayed till like 3 in the morning. And then I woke up to everything. What the fuck were we doing? Chappelle did fucking 2 hours. That's what I was doing. And then I woke up and saw everything.
Isn't that interesting?
Crazy.
Because the next morning, when between the towers falling, or right after the second tower fell, Ralphie May, who were here at Zanies in Nashville, called me because he knew I was flying to LA that day.
Oh, shit.
I had just written the MTV Movie Awards with Jamie Foxx.
Wow.
I stayed an extra day or two to hang in New York, and I saw what was going on. I ran out to get some groceries and some cash, thinking, what the fuck? We're in lockdown.
Yeah.
And when I came back, Chappelle and his wife and baby were outside my apartment with the stroller and covered in ash.
Oh my
so
God!
you saw him till 3 a.m, and then I had him at 10 a.m.
Holy shit!
And I didn't know that till now.
That's crazy.
He evacuated from the Soho Grand to my place, like a mile uptown.
Wow.
Interesting.
And that's where he came up with Ashy Larry, correct? Is that, oh God, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. So, what are your thoughts on seeing the Roastmaster General, or roast in general? I guess when you watch these.
Listen, I'm not just saying it because he's here. I mean, he don't miss.
No.
That's like.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's like there's a guy in town named Ashley Gurley who's wrote like 50-something number ones.
Right.
He is Ashley Gurley of roasting.
I gotta look him up.
Yeah,
what a
Ashley
compliment.
Gurley, and he just wrote them. He's never sang them, but he don't fucking miss.
Wow.
Everybody knows it around town. The dude just don't miss. If Ashley Gurley's in a room, it's something big's coming out of it. You know, and that's how I feel whenever when you know Jeff's fixing to get into some. When I seen him walk on stage at Bridgestone, and the best part was I had no clue.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, this is fixing to be great.
Yeah.
You know, what did surprise me was he came out with a full 15, 17-minute bit that was hilarious. And then I was like, I was kind of let down because I was like, well, damn, I did want to see him roast somebody. And when he came back, I was like, oh, yeah, no, he's
Speed
hosting
roast,
this
here we
thing.
go.
This is great. I was like, he's going to bring somebody up and roast them. And he brought fucking 20 people up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you just don't miss with that shit,
It was a fun
dog.
group, too.
Yeah,
How about you, Will?
Very eclectic picking.
Yeah.
How do you follow Jelly Roll? Like just fucking.
I should go to you
going
first.
all in?
from
Yeah,
now on.
that's
Sorry,
what I'm
buddy.
saying.
Yeah.
You don't have to say anything
knowing
nice.
he had somebody
You can
checking,
critique it. You can
knowing
critique
he had
it.
somebody checking the rehab on a roast, I'm going to give him a humble 9.
Yeah.
Just because we know there's better stuff out there, and I've laughed a little harder in my bedroom a little bit, but yeah, I'll stick with the 9.
Thank you. I'll take it.
I give that a 12 out of 10.
Thank you.
Ross never misses. He's our DH. So who is our winner today? I assume it's probably Ross, right?
Oh, he's a 10. He got a 10
Yeah, Jelly
for
Roll
sure.
didn't even say it.
Well, if Ross doesn't score, he'll come short. He has to score himself.
10.
Oh, Jeff Ross is our winner. He's the winner of this week's Comedy Pinata. Congratulations, Jeff. Is this? Do you want this off your IMDb page?
Now I'm celebrating.
Okay.
Let's get some hot chicken.
Oh, we're going to go get some
celebrate.
Hattie B's. Yeah, if you guys want to
I'm
join,
in.
we're going to do some
That was
Hattie B's
nothing.
down
That
the
was
street.
an appetizer.
I'm in.
Well, anything you guys want to say at a send-off? Where can they? Jelly, you're going on tour, so
I'm still on tour. I've done 40 shows this year, and I'm down to my last 13.
God bless.
So we're rounding third. Is that my camera right here? Hey everybody, my name's Jelly Roll. You probably don't know who I am, but let me tell you a little something about me. I make music from the heart. It's very cathartic. It's for the soul. I'm on tour. JellyRoll615.com. You can see it. I also just dropped a new record. It'd mean the world to me if you put it on your Spotify, played it all night with the volume slightly low, and just let it spin. I get paid per stream, and it means a lot to me. Thank you again. I'll be there soon.
Fuck, man, I love you,
Well
buddy.
done, dude.
You get paid per stream?
Yeah, we get paid per stream.
On what site?
Every site. Anywhere there's music, I get paid per stream.
Oh, fuck, I'll leave it on.
Pandora,
How much?
Spotify. Yeah, I joke with my friends when I'm like, hey, man, the deal is, now Spotify's how much? Oh, I can't talk that. That's
trying to
just-
get that out of
listen,
you?
I'm poor.
Is that a favorite
I
nations,
am-
or do you get your own? Everyone makes their own deals.
No. It's a universal thing. But
Yeah.
now I made my own deal with my distributor, and respectfully, I have the best deal ever.
God bless.
Literally, in
That's
Nashville
great, buddy.
history. But
And you have the whole contract right there on your face if you ever forget.
yeah,
what
right there. Like I'll never fucking forget it. Activate Roastmaster. Activate Roastmaster.
You can look in the mirror if you ever forget the clause.
The cross was me praying before I sold my soul.
How about you, Will?
Didn't drop an album last week, but we dropped a new episode of Bussin' with the Boys. You can go subscribe, rate 5 stars. We're on YouTube, all the podcast platforms.
Did you have a guest on this one?
Last week we had a guest on. Tomorrow, when does this come out? Or is it in the
Yeah,
library?
a little bit, yeah.
In a library. By the time this comes out, you will have seen what? How many times have you been on Bussin' with the Boys?
This is my third bus.
Jelly has came
Beauty.
on for the 3rd time, but we bust balls. We have good conversations. We actually
Nice.
talked a lot about mental health and his, but love to have both of you guys on as well.
Yeah,
Next time you're in Nashville, you live here. So
Absolutely, yeah.
Got to get on the bus. It's a staple in our city. Shameless plug for Will. Will and Taylor. Taylor's, probably the most famous offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Definitely in our franchise history, and they run this bus together. First podcast with 2 active NFL athletes doing it together.
That's crazy.
It means a lot to the city of Nashville that we rally behind it, even
The
though
Titans
he's a
are
Raiders
crushing it
fan.
this year.
Yeah,
They're
we're
playing well.
Yeah, we're killing. So it's yeah, man. If you ever get a chance, Jeff, when you're back in town, Steve
Sure.
especially, that'd be
Fuck
really
yeah.
cool.
You just bring Jelly with us. That's all we
right,
need.
yeah.
He's
That's
introduced
right.
us everywhere, dude.
And Ross, you're on tour with Chappelle.
doing some dates. I'm a surprise on the Chappelle show, so I never announce them ahead of time. But
Right.
I'll be at Caroline's the second week of December.
Beauty.
And roastmastergeneral.com for all stuff roasting.
I love you, buddy.
Thanks,
Thank you so
pal.
much for doing
Congrats
this.
on your new podcast.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah, it's been fun. It's and this move to
I
Nashville
love
has
the
been
set,
fucking
by
awesome.
the way. Really
yeah,
great job.
I worked on this. Yeah,
How did
it's
you-
my garage.
you
I
were
brought
the-
it here. Yeah, it's kind of cool. But thank you, Will. Thank you, Jelly. I love you.
you, brother.
Great meeting you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching Comedy Pinata. Thank you guys.
Love